Don't tone police Black people. Don't tone police Ciara Miller. Let's talk about it. Last night was the first part of the Summer House reunion, and it was exhilarating. It was so exciting, and they handled race mostly very well. Shout out to you, Andy, for reading that question from Sydney from Belmar, New Jersey. But what was most amazing, most biting, was the way she read Amanda for filth at the very end. Ciara says to Amanda, the best woman for West is someone who's not going to check him on anything, and that's totally Amanda. She's very mute. She's going to be that weak figure that he needs, and he can always be the star in the relationship. The read was so good that Amanda finally showed emotion. It was so good that, in fact, elicited some sort of tears from Kyle, who then turned to Ciara and said that it was a little harsh, which pissed me off because that's tone policing, and that's what a lot of white women are doing on social media right now. Tone policing is bad, and it's happened to literally every single Black person you've ever encountered in your life. For example, it happens when you're in a heated conversation or back and forth with a non-Black person and they tell you to calm down or lower your voice and avoid your point altogether. It happens when a white coworker decides to touch your hair without asking, and when you ask them to stop and tell them that it's offensive, they tell you that you have an attitude and why do you always seem so angry. Tone policing is a tool of oppression, and it turns you into like a mini social cop. It's a very bad, not cool thing to do. It happens when someone attacks your tone or the way you've said something instead of addressing the underlying argument. It's an ad hominem response. It's a logical fallacy. It means that your brain's not firing on all cylinders. By focusing on a person's tone instead of their actual argument, it allows you to evade any sort of like accountability, and it also makes you an oppressor, right? Because typically when someone is addressing you on something that you then want to tone police, it's probably about race or marginalization. Tone policing is loser behavior. It's often lobbed against marginalized folks, and it's very, very often lobbed against Black women. In fact, Black women like Ciara, who has been exceedingly calm throughout the entire scamanda, right? But if you've noticed, the few times that Ciara's gotten snarky or kind of like engaged with someone in a more like kind of forceful way, immediately the white women take to their keyboards and tell her that she's like being angry and like she needs to get over it and she wasn't dating Wes, right? That is tone policing, right? Like Ciara is making it clear that Amanda's behavior was like really malicious and harmful. And instead of like dealing with that underlying argument, which is very, very true and very, very impactful, people are quick to like decry the way Ciara talks about things, the way she's acting. That's tone policing. You're a social cop. That's really weird. And you're tone policing because you know Ciara's argument is right. You know that Amanda's behavior was weird and reprehensible and horrible. And Kyle, I hope that you responded that's harsh because you caught a stray and not because you were tone policing. Anyway, that first part was brilliant. Bye!